What's going on YouTube? So Mazda is a brand that has always been known for great driving dynamics. However, over the last few years, they've also become a brand that is known for luxury. This Mazda 3 Hatchback Turbo Premium Plus really represents the intersection of those two things. And Mazda sent us this latest model to test out for the last week. So with sporty looks, lots of power, and plenty of luxury, should you buy one of these instead of an entry-level luxury vehicle? Let's go ahead and find out. So like I just mentioned, today's model is the Turbo Premium Plus. However, I want to start off this review by talking about one of the 2022 changes, and that's the fact that Mazda has added a carbon edition to this 3 hatchback. What is that going to give you? Well, basically, it's going to give you a lot of the elements you see here on today's Turbo, giving you a more aggressive design, and importantly, this polymetal gray color. This, of course, is the color that all the carbon editions come in exclusively throughout the Mazda lineup. However, one of the interesting things about the 3 hatchback is that you can still get this color outside of the carbon edition, just as an extra cost option, $395 on this model. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the design. Of course, this 3 hatch has a very aggressive look, especially when you choose the Turbo. That's going to black out this grille, give you this very aggressive look to it. Of course, you've got the black mesh in the inside, and then you'll notice down here at the very bottom, wow, we have a really large front spoiler. This is going to be on just the Turbo Premium Plus model, so this is going to signify you have gone for the top dog. Now, as we move on to the headlights, Mazda is giving you a very premium arrangement. You will have full LED headlights as standard across all models. However, if you choose any of the premium trim levels, that's going to give you this arrangement you see today, which is adaptive. So you do have the adaptive abilities on board. As you can see, though, all the elements are LED, and I do want to point out one update for 2022. We actually now have the fading LED turn signals. I like this touch. You probably saw this on the CX-30 review that we did earlier in the year, but that now has made its way to the Mazda 3 lineup. Next up, let's go ahead and talk wheel options. So besides for a 16-inch alloy on just the base model, actually every other trim level of the Mazda 3 hatchback will come with these 18-inch alloy wheels. Now there are a couple different finishes depending on if you get a more sport-oriented model or a lower-end trim level. However, of course, as you've seen, we have a lot of gloss black accents on board with this vehicle, and the wheels are also finished in a nice gloss black. As we rise up to the mirrors, again, you're going to have a special gloss black finish with the Turbo models. And in terms of the features, you're going to have blind spot monitoring on all but the base model. And then this particular example is going to be fully loaded, so we actually also have driver's side auto dimming since we have the Turbo Premium Plus.
Now in the front there are a few changes for the hatchback model, but you're really going to notice all the changes here at the side, because that of course is what changes with the hatchback, is the overall side design and the rear area. Now as far as your length, I want to discuss that first. It's 175.6 inches in length, which does place us 8 inches shorter than the sedan model. You will notice that in terms of its overall footprint, it does look like a pretty small vehicle, but of course small and sporty kind of have that same appearance, so that's certainly a cool element for the 3 hatchback. Now as far as some of the other individual design elements, we have chrome on the lower part of the window surrounds. And then if we work our way around to the rear design of the Mazda 3 hatchback, I love the way it looks. This is a very beautifully designed vehicle. It has a lot of the premium elements from the 3 sedan, and they've just kind of made it a little bit sportier than that sedan model. So let's break down some of the design elements. We have our rear wiper right here. You're probably also noticing this. This is a pretty large spoiler. It's going to be fully blacked out, and that's going to be for the Turbo Premium Plus hatchback. So that's going to be that highest end hatchback model is going to get this spoiler to make this look really aggressive and sporty. Dropping down, we have our Mazda emblem, and then we have some of my favorite taillights on any vehicle. These are so premium, guys. They're going to be full LED, including your brake light, your reverse light, and your turn signal indicator. Of course, here in the back, it does also have that fading animation, which is new this year. If we drop down, we have a nice blacked out rear diffuser area. You're also going to have dual exhaust outlets. That's actually going to be standard on every single hatchback model, but if you go for the turbo model, they will be larger in diameter. Now, of course, it's time to talk about your warranty and safety systems for this model. And for your safety systems, you're going to be very pleasantly surprised because they're doing it in a way that it doesn't matter what trim level you get, you're going to get all of them as standard equipment. So you're going to get forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, auto high beams, and adaptive cruise control on every single Mazda 3 hatchback. Now, if you do go for that top-end model, the Turbo Premium Plus, like what we have today, that will further throw in a few more things like traffic sign recognition, as well as a traffic jam assistant. Now, for your warranty information, we're looking at Mazda Signature Warranty, 3-year, 36,000-mile basic warranty, 5-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty. Well, guys, this is a beautiful exterior design. There's also a gorgeous interior that we're about to check out before we check out the best part, which is the driving dynamics.
So walking up to the 3 hatch, of course you are going to find a smart entry system on the vast majority of the trims, all but the very base trim as a matter of fact. This is the brand's typical key fob. As you can see, it is a square with your buttons located there on the side. Now, as far as getting inside the vehicle, just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door. And there's a quick look inside the premium cabin before we go ahead and climb on in. So the Mazda 3 hatch is pretty complicated when it comes to your different interior color and material selections because you've got basically a ton of them. So you go from cloth to leatherette to real leather. You also have different color options depending on the trim level. I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but I do want to mention the new Carbon Edition model that will come with real leather in red only. And then if you go for the turbo models, which of course is what we have today, the Turbo Premium has leatherette in black or grayish, and the Turbo Premium Plus, which is today's example, has real leather in your choice of red, just like the Carbon Edition, or also this black, which is what we have today. Of course, the leather itself is very nice quality, like the perforation throughout, as well as the stitching details. Now turning over here to the seats themselves, these are going to be 8-way power adjusting. This is standard on the preferred trim level and above. We do also have 2-person memory seating as well, located right there. But a big part of the Mazda 3 experience is just how premium it is, especially when you have a top-end Premium Plus model like we have today. So let's take a look at our cabin materials. Across the armrest, it's going to be finished in a nice leather material with a really good padding. We do have leather here, as well as stitched leather that runs across the top. The very top of the door trim will be padded. And look at that, we have beautiful metal speaker grills. That's something I've never seen in this category of vehicle, and definitely shows that they have luxury in mind when it comes to this Mazda 3. As far as our windows, one-touch auto for all 4. Along the upper part of the dash, this is going to be finished in a soft-touch plastic. All the center area is again finished in a leather material with the stitching detail. And we're going to see that continue down here along the center console as well, where our knee would rest against. We do also have a little bit of piano black finish here in the middle, which can get scratched, as you can see, so keep that in mind. But otherwise, everything in here feels extremely solid and well put together. Now to start it up, put your foot on the brake and press the button. And after that stops beeping, you will be greeted with this 7-inch partially reconfigurable gauge cluster. So that center part there where you see the speedometer, that is the part that can be reconfigured. So you can press the info button on the steering wheel and just a few different settings. You do also see a slight revision of the look when you choose the sport mode. But otherwise, this mostly stays the same. But the interesting part is when you choose one of the premium models, you will also have a head-up display which does contain a lot of useful information. One of the things I like is that it does pop up blind spot information, which is nice and useful on the highway. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, of course, we do have the latest Mazda design. It is going to be leather wrapped on the select trim level and above. Of course, the wheel itself will be manual tilt and telescoping, but you will also have steering wheel heating when you have one of the turbo models. But let's go ahead and check out the utility of this cabin, because storage, of course, is very important. You chose a hatchback, probably to have the additional utility. And let's check it out. So with this, it is a little bit different. You're going to slide it back, and then once you slide it back, then you can lift it up. Once you do that, you will see a decent amount of storage space. It's not humongous, but it is fine. Also inside of here, you have your 2 USB ports as well as your 12-volt outlet. This is actually the only place where USB ports are going to be located. And here are our coupons. Let's put it to the test. I'm pretty sure these are going to fit just fine. Yeah, we're just going to have to fold them in half and then slide this guy down. If I had my other hand, what I would do is, hold them down, because the sliding mechanism is going to get a little hung up as it is right now. So this is going to be like half credit for this. It could be better experience with the coupons, but half credit still. All right, now up in front of here, we do have our 2 cup holders. We've got a little area for your phone to rest. This can be optioned to be a wireless phone charging pad as a standalone choice, but we don't have it on this example today. Now, pulling back here to the shifter, as you can see, it is a traditional style. You're just going to pull back for drive, bump over here to the left to shift manually, and you also have paddle shifters on the steering wheel for the turbo models and the top end premium trim level. When you go into reverse, this is where you're going to be greeted with one of the reasons, probably one of the main reasons, as a matter of fact, you might choose to have this turbo fully loaded in the Premium Plus trim level, and that's this 360-degree camera system. As you can see, it does give you your traditional view. You have your active trajectory and guidelines, and then you also have a very nice overhead view. The resolution on board is really nice as well. So in a small vehicle like this, it's definitely not necessary to have a camera that's 360, but it is a nice feature to see thrown in. Then, of course, to shift into park, you have your electronic parking brake and brake hold function located right behind the shifter. Now, right next to that, you have your Mazda controller for the infotainment system. And next to that, you have your volume knob for the audio system. So new for 2022 is that new Carbon Edition trim level is now the starting place for the 12-speaker Bose premium audio system. That's what we have on board, of course, with the fully loaded model, and we'll go ahead and give it a sample right now. So overall sound quality of this system is quite good. This is definitely a bass heavy sound system I've noticed over the last week. That being said, it is still very, very good. You might just want to do some adjustments inside of the audio settings like I did to kind of get things a little bit more balanced, but after you do that, it is phenomenal. Alright, so let's go up here and take a look at our climate controls next. This, of course, is a dual zone automatic climate control setup. This is going to be standard on all but the very base model. Adjusting your temperature, just twist the knob up and down, of course. Fan speeds, zones, everything's located physically right there, nothing complicated. Down below, we do have our 3-stage heated seats. Those are going to be on the vast majority of the models. It's going to be the preferred and above. No vented seats, though. I am surprised to see that. This Premium Plus Turbo is pretty pricey. And if you're going to go after entry-level luxury vehicles, you can definitely get vented seats on most entry-level luxury vehicles. So I'm surprised that they're not included here. And as we go up here to the display, this is what that's going to look like. As you can see, it is quite distant from me. That's because it is not a touchscreen. There is no way that you can reach that, and if you did, you can't touch it. This is going to be exclusively controlled via the controller down below that I was showing you earlier. That being said, once you get used to using this, it's very easy. They've structured the infotainment system to be very easy to navigate. You don't have to really spend much time thinking about the different functions. You just have these 5 main sections here on the home screen. Now the screen itself is going to be 8.8 inches and it's standard equipment on all versions of the Mazda 3. And if you don't want to use this software, you can of course use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Just be aware that they are a wired connection, unlike what you have in the new CX-50, which we were driving earlier in the year. Now rising on up, you'll find one of our Turbo Premium Plus exclusive features. That's going to be this frameless auto-dimming mirror with the 3 HomeLink universal remotes built into it. Of course, all your lighting is going to be fully LED. And then up top here, you will notice a standard size sunroof. This is going to be included on most of the trim levels, starting at the Preferred Plus trim level. And as you can see, it does open up as just a standard size unit, and you do have a wind buffer up there.
Well, I'm sitting back here in the Mazda 3 hatchback's rear seat, and we'll just go ahead and kick it off by talking about the space, since that's the thing you'll notice first when you sit back here. So as far as the legroom is concerned, we're looking at 35.1 inches of legroom, 36.5 inches of headroom, which is a decent amount. As you can see, I'm 5'9". I have a few inches to spare between my head and the ceiling, and then I also have a few inches to spare between my knees and the seat back, with the seat adjusted to Drew's 5'8" driving position. Additionally, my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat, so I'm pretty comfortable back here. As far as how that compares to the competition, Civic hatch is going to be quite a bit larger than that. That's right on par with the Corolla hatchback, though, so that's worth noting. Now, let's talk about some features going on in the Mazda 3 hatchback's rear seat. Well, it's going to be a short list because there's no vents, no outlets, and also no heated rear seats offered on any model, even though this is the fully loaded version. We do have a map pocket right here, and then we can also fold the center armrest down. That's going to include 2 cup holders on the side. Now, if you're turning your attention towards the door trim, it's going to be more premium, so we have a soft touch material on the top, we have leatherette going through the middle, and on our armrest portion, everything just feels really solid on this door trim, and we do also have bottle storage down at the bottom. Now, walking up, this is the hatchback after all, so I think you're going to be very pleasantly surprised with this area. So no power tailgate is offered on any hatchback. It's not hard to open. It's very short to the ground. But as far as the space is concerned, you're looking at 20.1 cubic feet of cargo capacity behind the second row seats. That expands to 47 cubic feet as a maximum for this Mazda 3 hatchback. That is, of course, it goes without saying, that is quite a bit larger than the sedan model, which comes in at 13.1 cubic feet of cargo capacity. So if you're looking to haul stuff in your small sedan or hatchback, definitely go for the hatchback version of this Mazda 3 because you're going to be very happy with the amount of space that it has. Now, as far as some of the finishings, we have this little cargo cover up top. You can also disconnect it if you would rather not have it. And then the seats do fold 60-40 split. I do believe you have to go up to the second row to do that, though, and this cargo cover is kind of blocking my way from folding that down. Now, as far as some of the finishings, though, we do have a carpeting along the floor, and there is a spare tire up underneath of the floor. Your passenger seat will be manually adjusting on every single Mazda 3 hatchback. If you look at your glove box, since we do have the highest end model, we have the chrome trim on our handle here, so that's just a little premium touch that Mazda includes if you go for the highest end model. Then, as far as the glove box itself is concerned, we have a really good size one, especially for this segment of vehicle. I wouldn't expect it to be this big. There's lots of space in here, and that leaves us plenty of room for our coupons. Let's see what the coupon of the day is. Let's open it up. Large pizza, 1 topping, $8.99. So that's a pretty good deal. So you can save money, throw your coupons in there, and eat up on some pizza. Up top, we got a sun visor, LED illumination, nice premium touch there, as well as a mirror. We can also detach it, and we have an extension in the end.
Nice. There we go, up to 60 miles per hour with the 2.5 liter turbo 4-cylinder version of the Mazda 3 hatchback. So you won't be left with any doubt about which engine you've chosen to get behind the wheel. This thing is, lots of power, 250 horsepower, but what really stands out is 320 pound-feet of torque. It is a torque monster, and you can really feel it, like when the torque hits as you kind of go up the RPMs, really pushes you back in the seat and just propels this thing to be really quick.
Yeah, it does. This is just an awesome motor. It is worth noting, if you use regular fuel, it drops down to 227 horsepower, so that 250 horsepower rating is with premium fuel. You can use regular fuel, so that's especially important nowadays, as fuel prices rise, but you will have a little bit less power, so that's something worth noting there. And it's definitely going to be a big step up from the base motors that you're going to get on the 3 hatchback, which would be the 2.5 liter non-turbo, just regular naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. That's going to have 186 horsepower and 186 pound-feet of torque. So big improvements for going for the turbo.
Yeah, like I said, the torque really just pushes you back in the seat, and this thing is just so spiffy. Like, I really applaud Mazda for putting their most powerful engine inside of their smallest vehicle. Because, this is really, it's awesome to have this. This is the same engine, for example, that powers the CX-9.
Yeah.
Now let's go ahead and talk about the other aspects of the powertrain. So as far as what this model has, it is a 6-speed automatic transmission. That's what the majority of the models are going to have, whether it's this naturally aspirated or the turbo. As far as this transmission is concerned in real-world use, yes, 6 speeds is down 2 or 4 gears, depending on what type of rival you're looking at. However, it's a pretty nice transmission. It's smooth. It's not the quickest transmission, especially when you use the paddle shifters, but it still is relatively engaging, and most importantly, it really handles all that torque nicely. I think one thing about the hatchback, though, you can't get it with the turbo, but you can get it with the naturally aspirated. That is a manual transmission, a 6-speed manual. Not that many vehicles have that option, and you do have that choice with the 3 hatchback, so I'm glad that Mazda has continued to offer that for another year. Alright, so now we're going into my favorite bit of this road, the most twisty section, and that's where I get to praise this Mazda 3. You've heard probably in past Mazda reviews of really any of their models just how much I love their steering, and that continues to be the case with this 3 hatchback. It is just so good. Outside of a few really high-end German luxury vehicles, this steering is really just about as good as it gets. You have so much precision, so much road feel. It's very fast responding, feels nicely balanced. Of course, the chassis itself is fantastic as well. You really have very little body roll at all. This is such a tossable machine. You find yourself just kind of, I know I have over the last week, just kind of an excuse to get on a nice country road and play around with it, because it is legitimately fun to drive.
Yeah, and that's easily today's slam dunk, is just the overall driving experience. That's also encompassing the 2.5 turbo that this model has. It really completes the overall package because it gives you the power that you need to go along with those excellent driving dynamics. So that's easily today's slam dunk. Now on the airball side of things, of course there's a lot to like with this Mazda 3, but you're seeing something that we don't like right here. The screen is not a touch screen still. As you can see, it's in the map setting here, that's perfectly exemplifies. It's just not that nice of technology-wise. It's behind the times for sure. This map seems like it's out of the early 2000s. So it's just not as nice of an experience as you get in some of the competition in regards to the technology in this Mazda, and that's really a problem with a lot of different Mazda products. So
Right, and hopefully they'll give you those upgrades that we saw with the CX-50, being able to have it as a touchscreen for Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and use those systems wirelessly would be big improvements that they can bring to this starting maybe next year.
Now for your fuel economy, let's go ahead and discuss that. So for the turbo, it's all-wheel drive exclusive, which means you're going to be coming in at 23, 31, 26 miles a gallon combined, which does mean that you have pretty similar fuel economy to your regular 2.5 liter model. So yes, you cannot argue with your significant other about the fuel economy for going for the turbo. It's only going to be the price of getting the turbo model, because the front-wheel drive and all-wheel drive options, it's 27 miles a gallon combined with all-wheel drive for the non-turbo, so 1 MPG penalty is all, and then 29 for front-wheel drive non-turbo. But guys, let's go ahead and talk about your ride quality and overall ride experience. You know, we are on a country road where this car really shines. It does its best here. But the ride quality is also something that we've experienced over the last, 7 days of living with this vehicle. It's just that it does a really fantastic job in having that dual character of, you have a fantastic and very premium feeling ride quality when you're just cruising along in the city. When you hit a bump, really Mazdas have just an overall solidity to them that the vast majority of the competition does not have. So you just notice those nice little premium elements in the overall ride quality. The seats are really comfortable. I have no complaints in regards to the ride quality, which is something that can't be said about a lot of vehicles that drive as nice as this. Right,
you would almost think that it'd be really rock hard, but I think that's kind of is the big difference with this, is that like we were talking about in the intro, you have the sporty driving dynamics, but Mazda also emphasizes luxury when it comes to this model. So in that way, this is not a hot hatch like a Mazda 3 Speed used to be, or against, a Civic Type R. This is certainly going to give you more of a luxury experience that you'll be happier to live with on the everyday basis.
Let's go ahead and get our sound level reading. We're looking at 54.7 decibels, guys. That is really, really good. We've done a lot of car reviews this week, so I know how a lot of them tested out, and that is as good as most luxury cars tested. Now, granted, we are on very freshly paved concrete, so that has a little bit of something to do with it, but 54.7 is a really, really good reading, and over the course of the week on different surfaces, I've been impressed with how quiet this is. Now, let's go ahead and mention your pricing. So, there's a lot of positive elements about this Mazda 3, but let's go ahead and talk about how much it's going to cost you to get one. It's going to start at $23,100 for the more basic models. Of course, as you move up the lineup, it gets more expensive. We have the most expensive option today, the Turbo Premium Plus. $34,750 is what it's going to start at. Now, this tester with the 2015 destination and the optional paint color is looking at $35,810 as tested.
And before I close out here, let me use the paddle shifter to show that off, and the sport mode. Yeah, so there's your demonstration. Like I said, they're very responsive to your commands, as in they will listen to you. That being said, it's not the fastest thing because it is an older 6-speed automatic transmission. But overall, you've probably seen throughout this test drive and throughout this review as a whole, this is a very impressive product. We've driven this in the past. We actually spent a week with it about a year ago, and just like with that, we are once again very impressed. Mazda has really done a great job of straddling that line between mainstream and luxury, between sport and comfort, that really makes this just such a great all-around vehicle. I feel like almost anybody could adapt this into their life and they would have a very satisfactory experience.
Well guys, thanks so much for joining us on this in-depth review of the 2022 Mazda 3 Turbo Hatchback. If you enjoyed watching this or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. It helps give us access to cooler cars to show you all. And if you're wondering how we get loans and stuff like this from Mazda Corporate, That's how, because we have subscribers that are interested in our videos. So please keep doing that. Also follow us on TikTok and Instagram, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.